LGBTQ pride. My name is Marwa here, and I'm really passionate.
My name is Josh, or Joshy, and
My name is Doreen and I'm feeling sexy today.
My name is Tashan Lovemore, and I feel amazing.
Great. So today we're going to be discussing the question about what does solidarity really look like in the queer LGBTQ community. And I feel like there's a lot there. I mean, we can talk about, maybe start with, what does solidarity mean to you?
Solidarity is like being the backup when you're not going through a struggle, but you'll be there anyway, just because you have faith in that person or that cause. Yeah, that's how I feel about it.
I think unity, when I first think of the word alone, unifying, coming together for, like you said, a cause that I believe in.
I agree. I think it's like standing up for each other and like really sticking up for, people, what people need, what I'm saying, or even asking what people need and being there for them, right?
Totally.
Yeah, for me the words like empathy and accountability really come up, like kind of the mix of those two.
That's good.
That's
good. I'm gonna change my answer.
Let's start right from the top.
Yeah. Go back. The accountability part, I think, is the thing that is so lacking, like huge in our community, unfortunately, because, like I said, during the other discussion about how there was a certain face to the LGBT community at a time, and so it was all about that fight and putting them forward and just making sure that they were socially acceptable so that it would become socially acceptable to be everything else within the LGBTQ umbrella, that sometimes we'll just blindly follow someone just because they're gay, just because they're trans, just because, whatever, because it's like, well, we got to get out there, so we have to support them. If they're closer than I am, although they may like have a horrible product or, a damaging philosophy, you know what I mean? Mm. But so accountability should definitely be part of solidarity that I think that we lack a little bit of just amongst ourselves.
I know what you're saying. I mean, as far as following people blindly just because of they're in alignment with who I am or something like that, I wouldn't. Like, now that we're talking about it, it's like, all right, that's not something I could do. Because even like when we just talked about Mayor Pete, I have to like thoroughly check.
Yeah, I don't know.
Just because he's gay is not like, okay, yes. Like, it may be a yes for somebody else.
I know. I literally just saw one of my friends post something. He's like in like whatever the plans out there where the gays go during the summer in New York. But like, I guess somebody had a Fire Island. Thank you, girl. I've never been. I'm in a relationship. Anyway, they had like a T-shirt, that Mayor Pete T-shirt, and he's like, oh my God, if it's not like the best thing, like 2019, whatever. But like nobody, I've not heard anybody, not one of my friends, like talk about him or his policies or what he's actually about. Exactly. But then you have these people with like his T-shirt, like, oh, support this guy.
But are those people white or black? Okay, and that's what I mean. I mean, for Mayor Pete, it will be a lot of white gay men who will support him. As far as the black community that fall underneath the umbrella, I can't say I'm running to the poll just because he's gay.
Well, we don't have any.
And we don't have anybody right now that, well, from what I know, that's running, that's openly anything and that looks like me. Mm-hmm. So, and even if they did look like me, I still have to check.
Right.
Because just because you look like me doesn't mean it's going to fall into line with what I stand for.
Right, yeah.
Because there's a lot of people who, when Obama was in office, although that may have been a yay for us, because he was putting certain things into place, I met a lot of black people who didn't say yay when Barack Obama was president.
Yeah. But there was also a lot of people that were like, "Oh, he's black. We got to vote for him.
Exactly.
He's gonna be the first black president, so we have to."
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he wasn't perfect, so
no president is, but I also I think that people thought he was gonna be a lot more radical, and I'm like, and
He was enough, but he was enough on that front. I would give him, like, he did a lot for just friends of mine who served our country and couldn't do that comfortably
before.
because they were gay and trans. Like, they could not, and I don't understand that you can sacrifice your life for a country, but they can't, just to make your life okay to
No,
live,
I agree.
you know?
Because I was going to do ROTC in college, and then I was battling, at that time, I identified as a lesbian, so I was battling, like, I had my girlfriend on campus too, and it was this weird space of feeling like, if anybody finds out, now what's going to happen?
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
my mom wanted me to go in the military. I mean, you know, paycheck to paycheck is not the best, you know.
Yeah.
And like studying, you know, business administration, like, can only get you so far because a lot of people do it. And she's like, why don't you just join the military? Because it got her out of her space where she was, you know. And so I know, I think we're related. You
Yeah,
can
I think
plan.
so.
But anyway, but because of that fear, I mean, still, even to this day, like, still, although that has changed. With the current climate, like, who knows when something can be overturned that can protect you, you
Absolutely.
know? And to have that fear is just so ridiculous. Like, oh my God, you can't even live life because you're just afraid of
Right
what
now,
people will do.
the providers can turn somebody away. Health providers can turn you away if their religious beliefs don't align with who you are.
Right.
yeah.
Now what? Now where people, you know, that makes things difficult for folks, especially folks who are outside of New York City. I mean, New York, to me, living in New York is a privilege.
Yeah,
in
totally.
a way, you know, because we will have more access to a lot of things.
Yeah.
Whereas somebody else in a rural
town,
area,
right.
yeah,
Mhm.
those people are gonna turn them away, you know, and that's unfortunate. Like, what do we do in those type of situations? Who do we put in office to make sure that doesn't happen?
Right. I think that's back to, like, the solidarity point is, like, are we getting people in office that will help us? Not because they're gay, but because they're doing the right thing.
Exactly.
Like, but I still don't see too much happening on that front. I mean, GLAAD just reported last year that just acceptance amongst LGBT people from everyone, people outside and inside of the community, was dwindling, like, was going backwards as of a couple years ago than it was. And I think that has to do also with us. Like, we are sometimes responsible for putting things in place that damage, like, what our mobility in society and what we can do with other people and other communities. And I think it's because we just don't have that accountability. Like, we don't look at what we're doing sometimes because we're so focused on, I mean, our community is so focused on vapid shit, just from partying to events to Pride even. Sometimes we just think of Pride as just like
a big party.
yeah,
and
it's
should be
like
more than that.
that is not where that came from. You know what I mean? And there was a T-shirt that I just saw. It was like, the first Pride was a riot. Just so you know, this is about celebrating, like, our rights and the fact that we deserve them.
And we're losing them right now.
And that is such a problem. Like,
So how do we celebrate and we're losing things?
But people are gonna still be out there. The city's gonna make a lot of money. It's World Pride this year,
Yeah, they expect them
and that's the focus.
Mm-hmm.
Like, other than, you know, rather than it being on, you know, us getting together and having these conversations. Like, this should be every Pride. We
Yeah.
should get together and have these conversations amongst each other, because what are we doing? This should be, every Pride should be like an annual meeting of the gays. Like, so, and because everybody always talked about the gay agenda, we really need to get one. Like, we do.
Well, I mean, that brings me to another point, like, other than, like, the national discussion, which is important, but kind of I'm interested in hearing more from you all about, like, in your current communities in New York City, what does solidarity look like on the local level? Like, with your friends, like, with your family, like, whatever that means to you. For me, I moved to New York, like, about 2 years ago, and thanks. Just feel like I, you know, have the ground beneath me. But I found it like really hard to feel like solid in my community, in the queer community that I've been involved with, at least in Brooklyn. There's still, like, a lot of social hierarchies, especially, like, when you're involving, like, alcohol and, like, parties, which are, like, most situations. that I usually like end up like meeting people, the lines between like accountability and like empathy and they're just blurred. And yeah, I was just interested in hearing about your perspectives.
Well, I'm an artist for one, so that support is just iffy because somebody has to like feel your work, you know? And I think that maybe that could be somebody's thing, like hang up or so for supporting a gay act, but you'll see just like there's a lot of super talented gay artists that are not being pushed, and not even about like, you know, by major labels, just by our own community. B. Slade is one that he was just talking about it on his Twitter the other day, and somebody was like, why don't we see any gay like artists? And he's like, I have been here for several years. No one, you haven't bought a thing, you know, you haven't supported a thing. So it's crazy to me sometimes that we complain about representation and we complain about, you know, what's happening. You know, that's what I really love. AOC, I think is her acronym. Because she was like, you know what? Instead of being like, I don't see anybody representing me, I'm gonna represent and or support who would do that for me. And I'm feeling like, and maybe it's just because I'm an artist and I'm sensitive about my shit, but it's just like in our community, how are we not so like on fire for another artist or another person who could bring forth representation for our community? Why are we not supporting that? Like, why don't we do that more?
I don't like to speak in absolutes. I think there are definitely people out here rallying for folks who are putting out art and are willing to do work. I mean, in terms of like being accountable, having empathy, all of that. But I do agree, especially to Marwa's point, that there are like social hierarchies. And again, I think I mentioned this before, but it was just it's more so like who's popular, who looks the best, or like who is the most likable. And that person may not be the person that's actually interested in solidarity or in doing the work. True. You can also see a lot of surface level ideas, even in the events, where it's like this wasn't deeply thought about. Like it's just like, okay, we came together and we put this thing together really quickly, and it's like, oh, we're all here, and it's like, okay, this is great, and then it's like, did you leave with anything tangible? No. I don't know. So I definitely think for like my friends and I, like people that I am starting to bring around me, like it's important for us to have solidarity, meaning like to be supportive of each other. I think when we talk about like representation, I think there's two problems there. It's like there's a lot of people who want to represent and not enough people who want to just support, or like people that just want to partner with each other and be like, hey, like you have this idea, I have this, you know, same idea.
Let's build something together.
Let's build something together. It's like these one-off things that everybody
so
that are so similar.
Nobody wants to work together.
And people want to be celebrities, or they just want to have their soapbox for 2 hours, and then it's just like, okay, cool, you did this, great, but it's like, did you really do something for the community? So there's just so much to it, but I feel like it starts with, again, like people in this community are suffering, and I think when we think about like the fact that we love to party so much, people often think like queer people are like happy and like, oh, we're, you know, everything's great, and I'm like, no, like this shit is not easy. Like, you know, you go into work, you take a train, like people are watching you, like, you know what I'm saying? It's like, plus you're black and you're queer, like it's just on top of like Caribbean, African, all of this, you know what I'm saying? It's like you just have all these layers to you that oftentimes makes you feel a lot more isolated than, you know, included. And then on top of that, it's just like, okay, I'm gonna go out to this party and I'm gonna drink. I'm gonna take drugs. I'm gonna, you know, I'm just gonna numb, right? Heavy. Exactly. Numb ourselves. You know, we got people, you know, again, like coming from all over the place, moving to New York City. So it's like sometimes we don't have family out here and things like that. And so sometimes you just don't feel supported, right? Even if people are like, yo, I do want to support you. Right. But it's like, are you really supporting me? Like,
it's like, what does that
mean? What does that mean?
What does it look like?
Yeah. Like, just let me know what you need. Yeah, and I'm like, damn, can you give some suggestions? Like, let me some tea, you know what I'm saying? Like, let me know. Like, I'm not gonna let you know. I don't know. So, it's just difficult, but it's like, I think it's a journey. Like, you have to be able to start doing that work for yourself and like discerning what the bullshit is out there and what's real, right? And who are those people that are actually interested in solidarity and really putting
That's a good point.
themselves behind
Who's
the words.
interested in- for real.
Who's actually really interested in doing it, and not just like, oh, I did this for the clout, right? You know what I'm saying? Or is this, really in aid of the people around me? So
on a local level, recently, there was just a rally yesterday for the 3 black women of trans experience who were murdered.
Mhm.
So that's one way. But I also know I didn't even get to go though because I had another engagement. But that is a way. That is one way because it was like an instant thing. Once it happened, we started getting emails. Sarah and I, because we again run the Black Trans TV, and we started receiving emails, and then everything started coming together. People like, okay, we're gonna do this. This is who's gonna be part of it. This is the flyer. Put this out right away. Let people know because we need as much people as possible to rally up. The turnout, I'm not too sure what it was like. Like I said, I wasn't there, but those are little steps, because black women of trans experience are being murdered at a ridiculous rate. And their life expectancy is 35, and I'm 31. So if I was to think about it, that's only 4 more years I would have to live. And that's hurtful, that's harmful. And I'm just trying to figure out, like you said, how can we get folks to get to a place where we are all like, okay, this doesn't just affect my trans community. This affects the whole LGBTQ. But it's almost as if only trans folks do show to things like that. Yeah. And how can we all get together where I'm not only looking at my issues, but I'm looking at the issues of people in the T, right. In the L area, people in the G area, people in the B, wherever you are, and that we could get this to get ourselves in a better place, in a better space.
I feel like sometimes, like you're saying, I think sometimes we do come together, but it's only for those one-off events. Like, okay, something happened, like let's all get together.
Right.
When it really should be like, we should always be looking to integrate people into our lives. Period. Like no matter who they are, like trying to, we have lunch together, co-work together, like whatever. Just spend more time together in terms of like building actual deep relationships. Like I've seen you around a lot of times. You say, "Hey, what's going on?"
It's true.
And then I'm like, "Do I really know Lebanon? Not really, but I seen them." You know what I'm saying? And so it's just like it needs to be deeper than that. I know a lot of people who do like restorative justice work talk about pods, like who's in your community pod, like who can you call if this were to happen or that were to happen. That's one idea, but I think just just integrating ourselves more instead of just like being so separate all the time.
Organically.
Could work, but sometimes it doesn't work unless it's organic. Like I can't let's just be friends. I don't know. Do we mesh? I don't know, but I think it's something that we could like try to be more open about instead of just saying, hey, like I'm gonna pull a random trans person, I'm gonna pull in this person's bisexual, let me be friends with them. That's not really how it works. You know what I'm saying?
But do we, like you said that you want it to happen organically, but caring could be organic.
Yes.
I don't have to be that close to Josh and then wonder like, are you okay?
Yeah.
Are you good? How are you feeling?
Yeah.
Checking on your mental health. We don't have to be that close, but then again, some people may not feel comfortable exposing that, but just offering that within the community will be a good start.
That's true. And even going past how you doing, because people automatically will say, I'm fine.
And that's
surface
level.
That's not,
surface
you know,
Yeah.
people expect that when you ask that question, and especially in the U.S., I think it's a cultural thing, like, people,
It's like a filler.
hey,
it is.
it's not real,
It is.
So it's like, or even like, you know, how you doing, or what are you working on lately, or whatever, and like, I'm working on this, but do you ask any deeper questions?
But I think people have come face to face with people who pretended or who gave off the vibe that they gave a shit and then they didn't, you know? So just hearing that from somebody, how are you, like, what's going on, and you maybe really want the answer, but I'm so used to you don't really want the answers, so my answer's gonna be fine. Yeah, you know? But I think that, if we created that culture, because now that I'm thinking about it, I'm like, we do call this a community, don't we? Yet, like, here we are, just like so far removed from each other. Like, we do need to make a more conscious decision to be more connected to each other. Just even on a surface level, you know, just knowing that we're part of the community should be enough, you know, and go from there. You ain't gotta be best friends with everybody.
And I think that's one of the conversations that's coming up, because we call it a community, and it's like, okay, we're people and we're here, but it's like a community also has like, again,
we all live in New York, right?
but I'm saying, like, we don't have town hall meetings, you know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
no, we
Or
don't.
like
We don't have
accountability
community, that's true.
practices. So like a lot of us in this community want to
That's perfect.
be
though.
anti-police, or like
Yeah.
we don't want to call the cops if something goes down. But like,
Exactly.
what are the
Right.
practices within here like
That
that
we can do.
that we can do for ourselves? Like we don't have those things. So when things go wrong, and they often go wrong, like we don't know what to do. So
But
then
that was a
people
brilliant
are,
idea, though.
yeah.
So let me ask you guys this: what are some of the more like successful examples of solidarity that you've seen within the community recently?
I mean, I think the rally is one. You know, as you said, as soon as it happened.
Yeah, it was like that. You got to email
That-
right away. Well, because it was
Right
3
there.
women. I mean, it's ridiculous. 3 women. It was right back to back. It was over the
Yeah.
weekend. It was ridiculous. But
Yeah.
when I think of it though, off top, because when I first think about finding a space that I felt the most comfortable and I felt like I could navigate with people the best, I think about Brooklyn Boyhood events. And although it was party based, it's not always though, because they used to do things like picnics. They even right now they do like they get together to do
What is it?
bikes, Brooklyn Boyhood, but it is inclusive of everybody. You know, you could come how you are as you are. They do bike rides, they do everything. You know, and it's beyond just they do beyond just the parties. But that's where I met a lot of people and where I met
Yeah.
a lot of people.
I mean, honestly, my friends, when I moved here, they've been amazing. So, I mean, I've seen the community, just like strangers. I've just met people and they've like taken me in and, you know, invite me to brunch because that's important. And I've seen like actually this community in New York be a little different than the communities that I've seen in other cities, like where they really will, like as soon as you meet somebody, like include them, you know what I mean? And I think that that's the first step. That's number
You didn't
one.
feel like you didn't feel like that when you first got here.
No, I did.
Oh, you did.
you did
Yeah,
feel-
okay,
oh,
you did.
Literally, I did.
Oh,
Like the
okay.
first day. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I was like, cool. That's important.
Yeah, I mean, to Doreen's point earlier, I think that for me, personal connection is really key because it's like you can't support me if you don't know me. So
Right.
it's like creating like that foundation of like friendship or partnership or whatever it is. So when tough times or happy times or whatever do come, it's like you have that built already to come back on. So.
And I had to really check myself because I'm like really used to like just being close to like whatever romantic partner I'm with at the time, and like understanding like now like I've been doing a lot of self work.
Mhm.
But what I'm saying is,
Yes.
you need those platonic friendships and those people
You're
just
right.
around you that can support you in ways that your partner cannot. Like your partner cannot be your everything, and you cannot expect
Absolutely.
you know all their energy to be on you. Like you have to have those connections out. So just like making time to
But
like make those other connections.
Beyond that, in the community, like we need to support each other's endeavors because when I feel like it's kind of the one of us makes it, we all kind of make it. Not necessarily like because absolutes again, it's not that cut and dry, but like supporting each other as far as like trying to move further in our fight for equality, in our fight just to be socially acceptable. I mean, that's ridiculous that is even something that is coming out of my mouth. You understand? Like, so for us as a community, that's something that we should keep at the forefront of our minds. Like, what can I do to support my fellow in their endeavor? Like, you know what I mean?
Great, yeah.
Yeah.
So lots of support, lots of solidarity, always working towards it. Great. Well, thank you all for joining AURN's digital LGBTQ Pride Roundtable, and we'll see you next time.